Our favorite F1 driver's done it again. Max Verstappen managed a crushing victory against Lewis Hamilton just when it seemed like Hamilton might make it first. The Belgian-Dutch racer has really been on a winning streak lately. Here's what we know so far about his win at the French Grand Prix and Leclerc's unfortunate crash. So let's get into it. First off, Charles Leclerc's crash worked out in favor of Verstappen. World champion Max Verstappen used Charles Leclerc's fall out of the lead to expand his lead in this year's title battle with a crushing victory over Lewis Hamilton in the sun-drenched French Grand Prix. The 24-year-old drove flawlessly in the scorching heat, finishing 10.58 seconds ahead of Mercedes Hamilton in his 300th race, with George Russell in the second Mercedes defeating Sergio Perez in the other Red Bull. It was Verstappen's 7th win of the season and his 27th of his career, and it dealt a blow to Leclerc's challenge in the first race of the season's second half. Verstappen leads Leclerc in the driver's standings by 63 points after 12 of 22 races. Next, here's what Verstappen had to say about the win. In an interview, Max Verstappen shared that he was sorry for Leclerc and hoped that the latter was feeling okay, but he hadn't expected to win like this either, and he was glad that he'd managed to do that. He added that they had a good pace, but it was hard to keep up with Leclerc, especially with the tires overheating. He stayed calm despite all this and focused on winning. Verstappen mentioned that it's impossible to predict how a race is going to go, and no one could have seen the crash coming, which is unlucky for him, obviously, but he's glad that Leclerc wasn't seriously injured. So what else happened at the French Grand Prix? Perez finished 4th ahead of a charging Carlos Sainz, who came from the rear of the grid to finish 5th for Ferrari, ahead of Alpine's Fernando Alonso and McLaren's Lando Norris. Esteban Ocon finished 9th in the second Alpine, ahead of McLaren's Daniel Ricciardo and Aston Martin's Lance Stroll. Hamilton was overjoyed to finish 2nd. It was a challenging race because my drinks bottle didn't function, so it was a terrific result for us, especially given how far off the pace we were, he added. The staff was really dependable, and George performed an outstanding job. On a scorching afternoon with a track temperature of 52 degrees and an air temperature of 34 degrees at the start, Leclerc got a clean start to lead into the first corner ahead of Verstappen, with Hamilton leapfrogging Perez into 3rd. Leclerc led by a second after the first lap, which saw Yuki Tsunoda spin and recover as Sainz launched his push from the rear of the grid. Verstappen's superior straight-line speed propelled him close to the end of the Mistral Straight, but the leader remained tight, his vehicle riding for a grip in the heat. After fending off Verstappen's early challenges, Leclerc enjoyed a 9/10 lead on lap 13. Ferrari applauded Sainz's development, and he finished 10th on lap 14. And then there was Verstappen, was a close call against Leclerc. Leclerc accelerated to a 1.7-second lead on lap 15 when the track temperature was registered at 55 degrees. Ferrari had informed Leclerc that their approach would be refocused on tire wear and strategy. Verstappen pulled in for a 2.4-second pit stop on lap 17 and rejoined 9th. As he returned, Ferrari alerted Leclerc that his tires were overheating, but he still had a 10-second lead over Hamilton, with Perez 3rd, 3 seconds back. Verstappen quickly overtook Norris for 6th, while Leclerc stayed out and subsequently crashed on lap 18 at Le Bossette, crashing violently into the tire barrier. Despite the estimated 175 kph hit, he came out unharmed. The worried Leclerc yelled that he was having throttle issues. It was his 3rd loss of the lead this season, just when he appeared to be on his way to a 3rd consecutive victory for Ferrari. Hamilton pitted when the safety car came out, and Verstappen grabbed the lead. Later, Leclerc came to acknowledge that the collision was his responsibility. He admitted that he was pushing too hard, so he lost the rear, which was his own mistake. So how did Verstappen manage to grab this opportunity? Verstappen made a clean restart to take the lead from Hamilton and Perez as Sainz surged to 6th. The Spaniard was subsequently given a 5-second penalty for a dangerous pit stop release. By lap 34, Verstappen had a 6.499-second lead over Hamilton, with Perez 3rd, 1.475 seconds back, although blisters were appearing on several tires, most notably Sainz's front right after passing Russell for 4th. With 15 circuits remaining, the whirling wind caused issues for the Italian team's pit wall crew and others. Frustrated in 4th, Sainz requested Ferrari for new tires, who urged him to go for Plan D, then to stay out, and then to pit in the middle of Perez's overtake. As Sainz restarted 10th and Russell and Perez raced for the final podium slot, it appeared Ferrari had blown a decent chance of 3rd. Finally, Verstappen and Red Bull also got the fastest pit stop at the French Grand Prix. In addition to winning the French Grand Prix, Red Bull driver Max Verstappen accomplished the quickest pit stop at Paul Ricard. Verstappen's sole stop came on lap 16 of 53, and he was only stopped for 2.44 seconds before being allowed on his way. AlphaTauri completed the next quickest stop with Pierre Gasly's vehicle in 2.53 seconds, ahead of McLaren and Daniel Ricciardo at 2.75 seconds in 3rd. After 12 races in 2022, Red Bull led the way with 277 points, followed by McLaren with 249 and a significant distance back from the rest of the field. Ferrari came in 3rd with 154 points, while Mercedes was 7th with 67 points, trailing a slew of middle teams. However, Ferrari still has the fastest overall pit stop time this season, with the team turning Leclerc around in 2.23 seconds during the the Spanish Grand Prix. DHL's Fastest Pit Stop Award focuses on appreciating the team that works at top speed to make changes for the cars at pit stops during races. And here's some other related news you might have missed out on. First off, Lewis Hamilton offered Leclerc some advice after retiring. Lewis Hamilton has offered Charles Leclerc some words of wisdom following the Ferrari driver's withdrawal from the lead in the French Grand Prix. After crashing out of last weekend's race at Paul Ricard, Leclerc fell 63 points behind championship leader Max Verstappen. Hamilton expressed his sympathy for the driver and provided some much-needed guidance. He shared that he'd been rooting for Ferrari and felt awful for Leclerc's loss. He also added that Ferrari's pace had been great till then, and it was hard to keep the same pace going over time. So it made sense that Leclerc had lost, and that they were still a great team. So the best they could do was keep pushing ahead, and hopefully things would turn out better for them in the future. Next, Christian Horner wants an FIA investigation at the French Grand Prix. Christian Horner has urged that the FIA investigate virtual safety car restarts following George Russell's podium finish at the French Grand Prix. The Red Bull CEO said that Perez did not have the right VSC data in his car, which is supposed to notify a driver whether to slow down or speed up. Meanwhile, Russell expertly timed the finish of the VSC to make the pass and take the podium. He slowed in the beginning before accelerating just as the VSC was withdrawn to take Perez off guard and swept around the outside at turn 14. Surprisingly, Horner requested that the FIA investigate the occurrence to prevent similar events from occurring. In an interview, Horner said that it was frustrating for him because there was a problem with the safety car, the VSC, in race control because they couldn't turn it off, so they had to reset it. Finally, which drivers were the best at the FGP? The 2022 French Grand Prix was a tale of contrasting fortunes for the championship contenders, with Max Verstappen claiming his 6th win of the season, while driver mistake lost early race leader Charles Leclerc. No prizes for guessing which area those two fall into this week, but who else did well or poorly from Paul Ricard? Despite their oft-mentioned troubles in 2022, Mercedes has been very consistent in claiming podiums. However, the French Grand Prix was the first occasion this year when both Hamilton and George Russell shared the podium. The much-anticipated improvement arrived just in time for Pierre Gasly's home race, but after racing in the top 10 on Friday, the local boy's performance plummeted from there. Gasly exited Q1 on Saturday before finishing P12 at the checkered flag on Sunday. Yuki Tsunoda dominated qualifying for his first Q3 since Baku. However, his race was derailed by a lap 1 collision with Esteban Ocon, with the Japanese driver withdrawing on lap 20 due to his worsening injury. AlphaTauri has now gone 4 races without scoring a point, making their chances of finishing 5th in the Constructors' Championship this year seems pretty bleak. That's a wrap for this video. What are your thoughts on Verstappen's latest victory? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.